And I just felt so trapped because here I thought creating more or bringing in more business on the daycare side was going to help me escape the 24/7 hours of work 7 days a week. And instead, it just made life like crazier. So I felt super trapped. I felt like I'd built myself a slave prison and I couldn't escape it. And then, lo and behold, a fabulous blessing in disguise happened. I can say what the blessing in disguise led me to is the ultimate solution to this is the Dog Sitter's House podcast. Hello, fellow dog lovers. Welcome back. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Dog Sitter's House podcast. I appreciate it. Today, I was going to ask you if maybe you can tell me whether or not you can relate to any of the following. That's kind of a weird way to start, right? But seriously, tell me if you can relate to, I don't know, stressing over whether you'll earn enough money each month in your business, in your dog sitting business, or wishing you could actually get some weekends and evenings off for a change, right? Maybe you can relate to constantly overbooking yourself to make sure you earn enough money to cover a slow month just in case. Ugh, done that. Been there, done that. Maybe you can relate to spending too much time fielding, rescheduling, and cancellation requests. Or you could have found yourself at times dreaming about having a predictable, reliable income, right? Because we all know in this dog sitting business, it is one of the most unpredictable businesses when it comes to income. And that's what makes it so difficult sometimes. So if you can relate to any of these, any of the above, I am going to give you the most effective solution to all of them. Literally, it's like, whoosh, I am whipping out the magic wand and I am waving it over my audience today. All right. So here, see if you can understand. I was in my second year of business. It was booming. The only problem was that I was working, I don't know, like 14, 15-hour days, 7 days a week. And I had zero time to recharge. When I did have time to recharge, I didn't have the energy to do anything good for myself to actually feel recharged. I just, vegged out like a zombie and I couldn't even function, right? I had no time for loved ones, for a boyfriend, for my boyfriend at the time when I had one. Don't have him anymore. I had no time for hobbies, no time to exercise, like you name it. I had no time for anything other than my business. And I'm sure you know as well as I do that running a business like this is not sustainable. Like nobody can do that forever, right? It's impossible unless you're some superhero from Marvel or something. I don't know. So I really meditated, or not meditated, I really contemplated what could I do that could give me more time in my days. What can I do that's going to reduce my administrative work? What can I do that is going to make my income more reliable and predictable, right? What can I do to stop myself from feeling like I have to overbook myself as an insurance for a slow month, right? What can I do to make sure I'm actually going to earn enough money each month? one of the solutions I came up with, or probably the only solution that I came up with, was that I needed to book more daycare visitors because I realized that when you do that, you can reduce the number of dogs that you're boarding. And this allows you more free time on the weekends and evenings, ideally, right? You can also have a more predictable schedule overall, which is phenomenal because you can actually maybe start to schedule a life around it, whatever that is anymore. I mean, if you're in burnout mode, working 7 days a week like I did, you totally get that. You can also create a more consistent flow of income. Hallelujah, amen for that one. That's self-explanatory. And you can add more value to your boarding customers who want a daycare option that isn't like a traditional kennel, right? A traditional daycare and boarding center. So this makes the customers you already have even happier and more loyal because now you are giving them an additional option to work with you that fits their needs better than someone else might, per se. So, having this realization, I began weaving stories about my daycare visitors and like the activities we would do on daycare days. I would just casually, mention these things when I was in conversation during my new meet and greets, and or even with boarding customers that didn't come for daycare. I would just casually mention how, oh yeah, they got along with such and such who comes for daycare. And a lot of people didn't really realize I did daycare until I did this. So this perked a lot of interest, and it quickly, like overnight, it grew my daycare roster. I couldn't believe why didn't I speak about my daycare services more often before that? I have no idea. Kick myself in the butt for that one. But when I did start doing that, it changed overnight because before I knew it, I was overbooked every single day for daycare, and it was complete and utter total canine chaos now. But you see, the issue was that it didn't allow me any extra time off as I actually thought it would. So that was a problem, a new problem. And the reason being was because I sold daycare packages and I allowed my customers to reschedule as need be, right? I didn't really even have a cancellation policy in place because I never really had any issues with people canceling. And so the problem was that when it came to daycare, I realized many people canceled or rescheduled, and they'd often do it in between usually 8 and 10 o'clock at night, the night before they were scheduled to come, right? So leaving me in emergency situations where I had to attend to it, even though it was 10 o'clock at night and I was exhausted and should have been in bed already. And what this would do, it would cause me more problems, right? Because I would be now overstaffed on some days if I had a lot of cancellations at the last minute. And that would force me to continue working until the late hours of the night because I'd be trying to scramble and reshift people's schedules around and ask them if it was okay because I didn't want to be that mean boss who just made it, mandatory. And it was just a nightmare. Not to mention I had to repeatedly update daycare packages. It was like, okay, wait, you're not using a day, so we're going to add another day back to your 10-day package that you pre-purchased, and this is how many days you have left. It was literally an administrative nightmare and easily consumed 1 to 2 hours of pretty much every single evening for me. And I just felt so trapped because here I thought creating more or bringing in more business on the daycare side was going to help me escape the 24/7 hours of work 7 days a week. And Instead, it just made life like crazier. So I felt super trapped. I felt like I'd built myself a slave prison and I couldn't escape it. And then, lo and behold, a fabulous blessing in disguise happened, which I actually spoke about in my previous episodes. So if you want to hear all about that and how I got here, go back and listen to episode number 10. And if you don't know yet, what is essentially I can say what the blessing in disguise led me to is the ultimate solution to working like a slave in my own self-built prison. And this is a solution that once you implement into your daycare services, it will easily give you so many solutions. I kid you all, like, it's not a hyperbole when I say it's a magic wand. It literally was the magic answer to so many of my problems. Because think about it. It'll immediately give you a predictable and reliable monthly income. All right. If you know that you have 10 people signed up for your membership, okay, this has to be a membership. Did I say that? A membership, not just your daycare services, but an actual membership. If you have them set up on a membership, which is basically a subscription, right? Then you know that you have a certain amount of income that's coming in every single month. And on top of that, you have a consistent schedule, okay? One that makes it so much easier for you to schedule staff and schedule your life around, so that you can actually start implementing time to recharge or take care of things that you need to take care of outside of your business or spend with loved ones, time with them. All right. Number 3, it's going to save you a minimum of, I would say conservatively, 1 to 3 hours of your day. But I kid you not, sometimes I look back and I'm like, I think it saved me even more than that. But this is, of course, this is if you offer daycare already and you already allow them to reschedule or cancel. Even if you allow them to cancel with a cancellation fee, it's still time, administrative time, right? You know what I mean? So either way, it's going to save, like, you're not going to have to invoice. You're not going to have to keep track of those daycare packages, every single day, updating them. So it's going to save you all this time in administrative tasks and customer service time, spent doing customer service. All right. So number 4, it's going to give you less canine chaos, at least in the very least on the weekends and the evenings, right? Which means time off. Okay. Hallelujah. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. We need time off in this business to be our best, to serve the dogs the best to our ability. We need time off for our own mental health. We need time off. So when you have a committed amount of daycare dogs on a subscription service, then you can predict what income you're going to have and you can cut back depending on your pricing. Now, right, you do have to price properly based on your goals, based on your occupancy levels and desires. But then as long as you do that properly, you can back off on the amount of dogs you have on the evenings and weekends for boarding. Yes, you still want to offer boarding, but I don't know about you, but I got to a point where I could literally have 4 dogs boarding and do that with my eyes closed and still feel like I was getting time off compared to having, 8 or so here a night, right? So, okay, moving on, because I literally have like 14 of these, you guys. So number 5 is the ability to regulate your team's schedule. Actually, you know what? I already said that one, didn't I? I did not point out, however, that this means that their lives are easier to schedule too, which means you're going to maintain more of a loyal team. They're not going to get frustrated with you and quit. So you're going to have a less turnover. So, this kind of goes with number 2, which was a consistent schedule. But really, it's important to point that out because that's a big issue. If you have a team that you really want to be able to regulate their schedule, and then it saves you a lot of time again on the amount of time it takes to do the schedule every week because it's just the same schedule every week. How amazing is that? Or at least very similar to it, right? All right, number 6 is no more worrying about being able to pay your team ever again, if you have one, right? Or if you want to get one. This gives you the peace of mind of knowing that you can make payroll, of knowing how to schedule in a way that you know you can afford to actually pay them and have money left over for yourself or for your business, right? That is huge. I don't know about you guys, but there were definitely times where I would just continuously overbook myself just to make sure I had enough money to pay my team. Because I never wanted to be like, that's a huge fear of mine. Like, I never want to be the slum boss, right? Like, I don't know, that's like my new version of a slum landlord. It's like the slum boss who doesn't actually pay you, right? Of course, you'll lose your team if that happens, but it just, beyond that, like, I just don't want to be that person, right? I don't identify as the slum boss and I never wanted to. So that was heavy. That always weighed on my shoulders. And when I developed the daycare membership, I could finally like breathe again because I knew for sure that I could schedule this many hours and cover that payroll, no problemo whatsoever. So that just completely took that worry off of my mind and I never had to think about it again, which is amazing. All right, so number 7, having this membership, this is all basically, by the way, like in any order. There's no significant order that I'm telling you these in. It's just all the things off the top of my head. All right, so number 7 is it is how do I say this one? Okay. It basically taps into your customers' subconscious needs, which is uber duper super powerful, like super powerful, right? Because if you think about it, a lot of people have FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Oh my God. Like, if you don't sign up as a member and get a subscription, I can't guarantee your dog's going to have a space for daycare. Oh, FOMO. FOMO, you like you're not doing this so that you instantly instigate FOMO in your customers. Like, that would be cruel and rude, but it's a byproduct of doing this that I didn't even realize until after the fact. And I was like, whoa, that's really powerful. Right? But it also gives them not only like it creates this FOMO in them that makes them, want to sign up, but it also gives them the feeling of, and like, I don't get me wrong. Like, if any of my customers are listening to this is not a bad thing. We all have this need, but it gives them a feeling of significance, right? Because their dog is part of an exclusive membership that only members have access to the services. And so that gives you a need or that feeling of significant, like I belong to somewhere. Like my dog is like so amazing. My dog belongs somewhere, right? And that is, I don't know if anybody follows Tony Robbins, but Tony Robbins is like a super self-growth, success motivational, coach, speaker, you name it. And he says that every single human, he's identified that every single human has like 5 needs. Okay. And I don't know if I'm going to remember them all right now, but one of those needs is significance. Another one is connection. Another one is personal or spiritual growth. Another one is contribution. That's 4. Uh-oh. What's the 5th one? I can't remember right now. I can't remember. But in any case, one of those is significance. We all have the need. Oh, certainty and uncertainty. That's the 5th one. Certainty and uncertainty, which is paradoxical. I know it's very paradoxical, but It's neither here nor there at the moment because it doesn't matter for this purpose of this conversation. But let's go back to significance. We all have the need to feel significant in one way or another. Now, some people value significance higher or lower than others. So it doesn't always, do the job and make people sign up for your membership because it's making them feel significant. But when you do add that element of exclusivity by having a membership in the first place, it's just another subconscious layer that can go in and be a need that is fulfilled for your customer, right? The human customer. Okay, cool. Hopefully you got that. So moving on. Number 8 is transfer ownership back to your customers. This one is gold, y'all. Gold. I don't know about you, but when I did not have the membership and I allowed people to reschedule and cancel at the last minute, they did not take ownership for their schedule. They did not take ownership for their reservation with me. Okay. They thought it was okay to cancel at the last minute or reschedule at the last minute all the time. Okay. I mean, I kid you not, it was insane. How many of these I had on a regular basis. And when I said, putting my foot down, you have to confirm that you're going to pick 1, 2 days, whatever it is per week, and which days that you're coming. Great. Now you have to be responsible because I can no longer guarantee that there's going to be a space available on another day in order to reschedule. Okay. And when that happens, now they can put it in their calendar as a regular occurrence, as a regular day that their dog is going to go to daycare. So they stop booking their dog's grooming appointment on their daycare day, right? So they stop making other plans for their dog's daycare day because that's in their schedule. They know in their brain at all times, every Tuesday, my dog goes to daycare. So nope, I can't do that if it's going to interfere with that. If I have any ability to avoid that whatsoever, and they'll schedule things around it. So it makes them take ownership and stop canceling and stop rescheduling. So that is just, that right there was priceless, absolutely priceless for me. And it's something that if you don't even have a daycare service yet, or you don't have a full roster for daycare, um, that's something you want to think about when setting up your daycare, and maybe thinking about having a membership, because having a membership and setting it up this way will definitely save you those headaches that it saved me for sure. It's so worth it. Trust me. I mean, it's going to save you 1 to 3 hours minimum a day, right? And that's gold. All right. So number 9 is less cancellations or rescheduling. Kind of goes into transferring ownership back to your customers. But this also this is important as its separate, entity, because when you have less cancellations, then you are bringing in more income on a consistent basis, right? When you have less rescheduling, then you can schedule your team better. You have, just the whole, like, there's so many benefits from it. I think I've kind of gone through them all just through getting to this point, but you get it. You get it. You get it. I'm sure you get it. Okay. Let's see, you know what? Let's skip around because these other 2 here are probably best to save for last. They're the best. All right. So let's say number 10, is it then? To number 10, this reduces your invoicing, the amount of time and the amount of invoices you have to do, because when you set up a subscription model, a membership model, you are going to use your payment processing system, whichever one you use. You have to make sure you use one that allows you to set up a subscription service. And once you get the customers to pay the first time with their credit card, it automatically keeps it on file and automatically charges it, right? Everybody has a subscription or 2, and you get that. So it's like one and done. You do it, you set it up, and once you've done it, once, then you don't have to think about it again. I mean, unless their card expires or whatever, every now and then you might have to go in and change a card or mess with the expiration and update it. Not a big deal. Totally shaves off so much time and administrative work doing invoices. So it's amazing. All right. So number 11 is, this one's pretty cool because you get to stop having uncomfortable conversations, reminding customers to pay their late invoices. Like, who hates that conversation, right? Like, everybody. I mean, I don't know anybody who's like, yeah, I'm super excited to remind my customer to pay me. Nobody's excited about that. And when you don't have to worry about that anymore, voila. Goodbye stress, goodbye uncomfortability, goodbye difficult conversations. We all want to get rid of those in our life. So that one's awesome. All right, number, what am I on? 12, I think. I forget. Anyways, save your customers time and hassle. Woo, that one's huge, right? Now you're bringing value to your customer because your customers, like I mentioned before, have a set schedule with you, with their dog coming to your daycare. And you're also saving them time from having to keep track of their daycare packages and what they've purchased or what they've used and haven't used to make sure you're being honest with them. Or you're saving them time from having to pay each invoice every time they use up their daycare package. Or if they're just paying for individual days, you don't have to invoice them. You don't have to remind them to send you the money, so you're saving them time and hassle as well, which, a lot of people these days are so busy, they all appreciate that, and that brings value to their life as well. All right, so number 13, this one's pretty cool. This helps to better pandemic proof your dog business, let's just say, right? Because when we went through the whole pandemic and had to go through lockdowns, what happened? Everybody stopped traveling. Everybody started canceling their boarding. What does that do to a dog sitter like you and I, a home-based dog sitter? That destroys our income, right? Many didn't even make it through that time. But if you have a subscription model daycare service, chances are, even if your customers are working from home now, they're still going to want to bring their dog to daycare, even if they can no longer go into the office to work and they can work from home. Chances are they're not going to want their dog sitting around bringing a squeaky toy around to them when they're on a Zoom call for a meeting, right? They're not going to want to have to spend their lunch hour walking their dog instead of, maybe taking care of a few things or making lunch and actually eating, right? And, they still are going to appreciate their dog being snuggle ready when they get off of work so they can just chill, So if they have their dog already set up in a membership with your service, another thing is they're not going to want to pull their dog out of that because there's no guarantee there's going to be space for them if and when they go back to the office. Okay. So in order to maintain their spot, they're going to keep their membership. And when they keep their membership and you have a consistent, reliable, dependable, predictable income every month from daycare, that might not be the greatest income. It might not be as much income as when you're doing boarding, but it can be the ship that sails you through the rough seas to get you through the other side. So that one is super uber duper important to consider when deciding whether or not you want to create a membership within your daycare business. Okay, and the last but not least, and the most amazing one on the list, I would say, drum roll please, number 14 is When you set up your daycare membership, you get to design your membership so that you can also design your lifestyle, your life, what you prefer your life, your schedule to look like, right? What do I mean? This means that if you don't want to work daycare 5 days a week, you can offer it 4 days a week, or you can offer it 3 days a week. You can offer it 2 days a week. I don't care what you do. You can do whatever fits you, what you want, what your dreams, your goals, your desires are. Isn't that amazing? You can decide on the times that you're open for drop off and pickup. You can decide on which days. Like it's such a great way to not only design the membership for your people, your dogs, in a way that, serves them. Don't forget about that, that brings them value, that solves solutions or that are solutions to problems that they have. But it also gives you the opportunity to set things up in a way that supports the lifestyle that you desire, right? If you like to, I don't know, like say that you like to take a lot of long weekends and head out early on Friday mornings or on a Thursday night or something for a long weekend getaway, then you can just not have daycare on Fridays. And then that way, anytime that you want to block yourself out and not have any boarding dogs on the weekend, you can just take off Thursday night and hit the road, Jack. So it's really cool because this gives you so much flexibility and creativity with setting your business up in a way that supports what you vision for your life, what is important in your life, what you value, right? Like for me, I value having time to um, go see this like practitioner that's he's like a kind of like an acupuncturist. Most people don't understand what he does, so I just say an acupuncturist because it's very similar to that, but it's also very energetic work and things, and I like to go see him regularly. Well, I can't do that on Saturday and Sunday because he's not open, so I can only do that on Mondays and Fridays. So I have daycare services Tuesday through Thursday because I like to have Mondays and Fridays where I can get things done during the weekdays, like grocery shopping or, running errands or whatever. And I don't have to worry about big old lines or anything like that, or no traffic because everybody's at work, right? So it's pretty awesome. I like it. I got to tell you. And you can do the same. And then if I want to take a long weekend, guess what? I can take a weekend Friday through Monday, y'all. Isn't that amazing? And you can too. So design it as you see fit that fits best for your lifestyle. And of course, pricing, goes into play. Occupancy goes into play. I do have a calculator, a spreadsheet that's a plug and play calculator. It's pretty detailed. And I do offer that to people who get into the membership that I'm creating, but or not membership, but a course that I'm creating, or any of my one-on-one coaching clients. But it's pretty. It takes some. There's a learning curve. Let's just say you have to go through the video, the module to learn how to use it in the first place, because there's a lot of moving parts in our business, and it's perfect though because it does help you figure out what your ideal occupancy is each day, both for daycare and boarding visitors, and what income that you need to make with all the expenses and you name it that you want to put in there, and your staff, if you have a staff, their payroll, everything. And then you can also factor in uh, however many weeks you want of paid vacation and make sure it's all covered. And that helps you figure out the price that you have to charge or the occupancy that you have to have, So it's a wonderful tool. And that was a huge pivotal moment in my business when this tool was created by myself and my uh, intelligent, way beyond me when it comes to numbers, especially friend who's an engineer. And it's just been a lifesaver to have that tool. But if you know the occupancy level that you want each day, then you can, by deduction, figure out how much pay or how much your pricing needs to be, and kind of go from there. At least get a general idea that way, right? Okay. So that is my last and final one. Design your membership, design your lifestyle, baby. That's what it's all about. That's what we got into business for freedom, right? We got in the business so we can have the freedom. We can be our own boss. We can have the freedom that we desire. We can earn the income that we desire, or at least a very comfortable one. And yeah, that's where it's all about. So this, my friends, is really a fabulous way to solve all of these problems that you are either having in your business or that you could come up across if you're still building your business and your daycare. Because when you implement a daycare membership, you gain all of this. You gain it all and really more. Because like I said, this is kind of like just off the top of my head when I wrote some notes down of what I think I got out of it. And it's truly been a win-win-win. I mean, the dogs win because they get to thrive on routine. And, they know, like, dogs love that. They love routine. They love every Tuesday. They know when it's Tuesday because that's their daycare day. And they come, you get the stories from my customers. I hear them all the time. Like, yeah, I got up today and so knew, like, sitting by the door wasn't going to let me leave without them. They knew what day it was. And not only that, but when you have a regular set of dogs on each day, yeah, it might change one or two dogs here and there, but for the most part, it's the same visitors on the same days every single week. They all get to become extremely comfortable with each other, which really reduces the canine chaos. There's another one. I should have added a 15. It reduces your canine chaos even during daycare days because of the fact that they get into this routine. They come, they know, they're meeting the same dogs, they're sniffing the same dogs, like, oh yeah, I remember you. Oh yeah, you're my buddy. Let's play. I'm so excited to see you again, And it's really a win for them. And then it's a win because the humans, the dog owners, the humans win because of, well, all the reasons I already had mentioned before, right? They don't have to worry about the time and hassle of remembering to pay you constantly, keep up on their day care packages. They can put it in the schedule and plan around it. Then they don't have to worry about rescheduling and canceling at the last minute and messaging you at 10 o'clock at night either, right? And then, of course, you win, right? Design your membership, design your lifestyle. Of course, that's a huge win. And really, if you think about it, there's even another win in there. Your team. If you have a team, your team wins too, because things are so much easier on a set schedule. And they get to know the dogs and the routine with the dogs, and the dogs get to know them. And I'm telling you, it's like gold. It's gold. So some of you might be thinking, like, that sounds way too good to be true. And it does sound wonderful, but it would be a nightmare to implement, or like even figure out how to do it, how to set it up. Um, or maybe you might be thinking you can't possibly force your customers to subscribe to your membership because you've already been offering them individual purchased daycare days, or like I did, like daycare packages, right? And so you feel like it's kind of a bait and switch, to your customers. You feel slimy, right? And to that, I'd say, well, you're correct. You are right. Because whatever you believe You are right. All right, I'm being a little facetious, but it does take some brainstorming. It takes what you could call mental stretching to develop the membership in the beginning. Um, it definitely, like I said, it was a mind bender to kind of figure out all the details and all of the different moving parts and paws. It was pretty crazy in the beginning, but once you do it, it's done. It's done. It's like once and done. Like, how amazing is that? You don't ever have to do it again. You figured it out. You might tweak something here and there, sure. But, what I have noticed is the most successful people, entrepreneurs, business owners, it doesn't matter what type of business, the most successful ones in the world are the ones who figure out how to put systems in place that are repeatable, that are automatic. They learn how to delegate, right? There's these core principles, these core qualities of every successful business owner. I mean, look at McDonald's. They were the first ones to create a drive-through, fast food burger joint. But it's not just that they did that. It's also because when they franchised he made it repeatable. He made it so it was automated. There's like an assembly line inside of McDonald's pumping out your fries and your nuggets, okay? And it's because of that he was able to really refine the business expenses, the administrative work, you name it, and save time and repeat and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, and create another location and another location and another location, right? So the beauty is, or the gold rather, is in making things repeatable. And when you can automate them on top of it, the sky's the limit. All right. So that's the beauty of this. Yes, it may take a little bit of brain stretching in the beginning. Okay. It might be a mind bender. But you know what? If I get enough interest in a live workshop to show people, to show you how to set this up, to show you how I've done it, and give you ideas on how you could do it to fit your goals, your lifestyle desires, so that your brain doesn't have to hurt like mine did. And you don't have to figure it all out by yourself or even make the mistakes that I made in the beginning and, had to retweak multiple times to get right. Then, let me know in the comments. Leave a comment. Find me on social media, on Instagram or Telegram or YouTube, but go there and leave me a message or DM me and let me know, because if I get enough interest, I will offer a live workshop, because I think this is such a beneficial thing to implement in your business. And I would love to help other people have the peace of mind, the repetitiveness, the ability to schedule things, your life around your business, the ability to have time off, the ability to have reliable and predictable income. I mean, those things it's just priceless. So if I can help anybody with that, and if I get enough interest, then I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and offer that. And so just be sure to stay to the very, very end of this episode after I sign off, because if I do decide to do that, I'll come back and add an audio clip to the end here that lets you know that I am now offering that live workshop, and you can create your own membership through this workshop and get everything you need to know, and I'll add details as to how you can sign up for that or get on the wait list or whatever I decide to do. I don't know yet. But regarding the fear, because the fear of your customers thinking like that you did a bait and switch, or that they're going to leave you because you offer them daycare packages and now you're only offering a membership that they have to subscribe to. I get that. Like it's a super valid fear that's just logically going to pop up anytime you do this. And you know, what I have to say to that is you can do one of two things. You can focus on all of the things that you are afraid could go wrong or that your customers could do, or you can do what a top dog CEO does, and you can focus on how to show your customers the benefits of switching to a daycare membership. Or like you can show them what the value is, not only for them, but for their fur babies too, right? You can show them the benefits to this as aforementioned. Again, I would say something I would do to cover, if I did a live workshop, I would cover how to do that, how to show them that it's actually bringing them more value and worth it to them, how it benefits them, how it benefits their dog. I would cover how you could do this in a way that shows your customer the benefits of switching to a daycare membership, that shows your customer the value that they're receiving, and shows your customer why, even though your prices are higher than others, most likely, it is a better deal than going anywhere else. But don't wait for that, okay? Just start brainstorming all of the benefits your customers would receive and how you can relay that to them when introducing your new daycare model. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I mentioned a whole bunch of those benefits already. This should give you a good head start. The extra work to design my daycare membership up front has allowed me to have time for my family, especially when they went through cancer just recently and a lot of other health issues, unfortunately. It's allowed me time to be there, to be at the hospital when I wanted to be, right? It's allowed me time to exercise for myself again and the energy to actually cook healthy meals again, because you get to a point of burnout. I don't know about you, but you're like, I don't even care what I eat. Just give me anything at this point. I don't care if it's Subway or like Chipotle or what it is, right? I still couldn't lower myself to Taco Bell. Sorry if you like Taco Bell, no offense. But the last 2 times I ate it a couple decades ago, it was not a pretty day for the next 24 hours. So I'm never eating there again. But I mean, other than that, I really lowered my standards on my diet and it shows, and I felt it and it hurt. And now I'm like trying to reverse that, and it takes time, right? But now I actually get to exercise. Now I actually have the energy to grocery shop and to cook healthier meals again. You see, it's given me back this peace that I had lost because I actually get to wake up and sit on my deck with a cup of coffee again without worrying about having too many dogs that could start barking, right? I can have, just a couple of dogs here that I know aren't trigger happy and barking all the time more often, and I can sit down on the deck and relax, like one of my most favorite things to do on a beautiful morning, because I get to watch the sunrise from my deck. It's amazing. And those are the moments in life that we have to guard with our life, to protect, to allow ourselves to continue being able to do, because those are the moments that ground us, that keep us centered, that keep us going, that keep us appreciating the little things in life. And I don't have to tell you the ripple effects of having time to recharge, do I? I mean, just imagine having only a couple of dogs, if any, in the evenings and on the weekends, right? Sometimes you might not. How would your life be different if you had this time off consistently? How would your life look if you knew that you had a predictable, recurring income every single month? And what could you do with the extra time you would create by automating your administrative tasks? Could you find ways to add more value to your fur visitor days with that extra time? Or maybe you could use that time for yourself and you could like slip in a massage once in a while or like once a month even instead of doing invoicing for an hour, right? Because that's all it takes. You just run and get your massaging. Like that is priceless. How much would your family and friends appreciate spending time with you again? The benefits are endless and really so important for you to be able to sustain your business in a way that you can maintain your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, and your financial well being. So, all you have to do is decide to become the trapeze artist and take the leap. In fact, I think on that note, I'll let you go so that you can go take that leap. And until next time, happy tales to you. Thanks for listening.